This is first panel of this Assembly 2009 summer, and we are going to have this panel about game education in Finland, and the leader of this panel is Koopee Hiltunen from Neo Games.
Okay, thank you. So we are going to discuss today about games education in Finland, and we have a group of people, 6 guys from different facilities in Finland doing games education in some level. And the first thing, so that you know who is who and where he comes from, is that you could introduce yourself very shortly, like say your name and where you come from. Let's begin from you.
Yeah, I'm Petri Lankoski and I come from University of Art and Design Helsinki Media Lab. We don't have a specialist games education yet, but hopefully at the next year there will be that.
Okay, and Toni, it's yours.
Toni Manninen from Ludocraft Game Studio from Oulu and representing the employee side of the discussion. So I'm hopefully going to give you some insight what we look for the recruits we are hiring to work in the studio.
Yeah, and I'm Teemu Haila from the SCORE Game Development Club, and I'm of course the unhappy student here, probably dealing with the ranting side.
Okay, hello everybody, my name is Toni Pippola and I'm from Tampere University of Applied Sciences.
Hello, my name is Turo Kilpeläinen and I come from the University of Kajaani Applied Sciences, and I'm the principal lecturer there and the head of our program of Business Information Systems.
Hi everybody, my name is Veli-Pekka Piirainen and I'm from Kajaani University of Applied Sciences. I am lecturer of game programming and leader of our game engine Kayak 3D engine development team.
Okay, let's go straight to the point. When we talk about the games education, we are of course talking about people who are studying games, and we are talking about pupils and things like that. How have you find is it difficult to get pupils to the games education? If you begin.
Actually not. Young people are very eager to study games, so I think it's quite easy to get students if you have good education.
How about Teemu? You are a student. Do you think that it's hard for young people to go to the games education, or is it a kind of obvious choice for some people?
I think nowadays the younger students really they know about games education and they know that it's a possibility, but I think we miss a lot of people who would be really great on the field because they think it requires different skill sets than they personally have, or think they can't really learn all the stuff, so they still miss a lot of information.
So there is kind of mystique inside in games education. They think that it demands godlike skills which you should possess if you want to be a games developer. How about Petri? How about in university side?
I don't think that it's hard to get because we have people already studying who wants to be studying games, and the courses that are related are quite full. People who are eager to learn. So I think that's a problem is that we don't have programs to teach.
So you don't have any lack of people, you have lack of programs, or basically you have lack of education. There is more demand than you can offer.
Yeah, we have a lack of people who can teach about games. Okay. We don't have a funding to really funding for to that at university level.
Okay. How about Toni? How about is it in Tampere University of Applied Sciences?
I think we are getting better rates for people now because we are marketing or start marketing our education. We have something like 4.9 applications per seat, but I think it's not difficult to get people.
Yeah. Okay. Well, that's about the people. The next question is about the money, and it's of course, is it expensive to teach games? I mean, you could think that if you have all these technical devices, you have all the consoles, you have all the development environments, you have all the licenses, you need all kind of stuff when you are making games. Is it very expensive to teach the games? Does it take more money than teaching nurses, or what do you think about that? Veli-Pekka, you are the first one.
So actually not, because if you are teaching already computer science, you have all the equipment and programs you must have. So I think teaching engineers is much more expensive than teaching games.
So it doesn't take too much money. I mean, it's doable. Turo.
I would put it in that way that putting up new courses is not a problem, but giving a good content and knowledge to the students, it's much more difficult because the games business is so young itself.
Yeah.
So you don't have persons to teach how to make games because they are so lack of people.
So it's not about the price tag of the devices or programs. It's more about the price tag or availability of people who can actually teach the games. Do you all agree on that?
Yes, it's really expensive to fly people over from abroad, and most of the time they really have something else they're doing currently, so they probably even aren't available in the first place.
Some
I totally agree about the kind of difficulty in getting expert teachers. But then the other thing, I agree that kind of organizing games development or games design teaching, it's not any more expensive than any other area, but usually in terms of government organizations and like educational institutes, the kind of change in the culture of teaching, because usually the games development is taught in a kind of very project-oriented way, and usually people work all around the hours, so it's not necessarily that kind of disciplined as it has been. So that's kind of, people think it's more expensive, but it's not, because you don't need any other equipment. You just use the existing ones more innovatively and more creatively.
How about Petri? What do you
I must say that it depends on perspective. Teaching games is really cheap compared to teaching directing films or script writing films and things like that. Those studios and filming equipment are expensive.
And we have money for that,
yeah,
I think.
Definitely.
I have understood that we have money for film schools.
Yeah, the Taik's film school is really well funded.
Yeah, okay. How about Toni? Do you have some?
Yeah, I think too that money is not the problem. There are really good, almost free tools, and I think the people, that's the problem, to get the people, right people in the right place and get money from that.
Okay, the money is not problem for us today. That's something which we very seldom hear from the education side, but this, at least for me, it was the first time. But hey, you were talking about how difficult is it to get people from games companies to teach your pupils. How do you do that? What kind of contacts do you have to the games industry? I think that it should be quite easy if you are in Helsinki, but there is no one in Helsinki except Petri here. But if you are doing something in Tampere, or even more remotely in Oulu, or even the remotest possible location in Kajaani, how do you deal with this cooperation with the companies?
So actually we have very good relationships with different game companies. So we have a quite good network, and game companies are really willing to help us to give good education. Problem, of course, is that we are about 600 kilometers away from Helsinki, and people in game companies are very busy. So it's hard to get them to us for one day. So in Helsinki it would be much easier. They have to visit a couple of hours. But if they come to us, they have to spend whole day with us, and that's the problem.
So it takes more organizing. You have to really organize it, and you have to got to have a whole day of teaching for somebody coming from Helsinki, for instance.
Yes, something like that.
Yeah, yeah. How about in Tampere, Teemu? You have been studying games in Tampere. How do you think is the cooperation between the schools in Tampere and the companies in Tampere or in Helsinki, is it good at the moment?
Well, there is some cooperation, but I don't think it's good enough, because the companies in Tampere are rather small, so they have, if possible, even less time to really visit anyone else, because they're all busy making their first big hits or whatever. So our real contacts come from Helsinki, and unfortunately most of the contacts are on a personal level of our members, of our friends, and not contacts of our club or our school. So if the key members from our teachers or our students leave or just become uninterested, we might lose a hefty bunch of our yearly contacts or course members or speakers.
How about in Oulu? Or did you have something to say, Turo?
Well, I just wanted to add that it's a personal thing.
Yeah.
The business is so small that so few players in that, so you have the personal contact, and if you leave, you take your contacts with you.
Yeah. For those who don't know, there is around 1,200 people working in the games industry, in game development in Finland, or at least was in 2008. According to our studies, so it's true. It's a very small industry if you think about the number of the people working in the industry. How about Toni? You have the second biggest games development cluster in Oulu. How is it for you? Is it? Do you if they ask you in the Oulu University, are you happy to go to teach the people in Oulu University?
It totally depends. I like what Teemu said about the personal contacts and the problems in there. I would turn it the upside down. I would think that the personal contacts in games industry is one of the best parts. That is because it's kind of like very close knit family.
Yeah.
And if you know people, it's easier to say yes when somebody asks, because you know them on the personal level, and then perhaps you know their students, you know how they work, you know how they organize their courses. And it's not always like that the companies will calculate that, okay, if I go there and give a course, I will get so many applications next year to work with us. But it's usually like you just think from your personal point of view that, is there anything interesting in the offer? Are the students working in a way that they give something back to you? Because usually if I go to teach and lecture with the students, I usually get much more from that session than some of the students get from my input, because I'm there to learn from the innovative minds, from the young ones who are not spoiled by the kind of professional industry.
Cynicism, or it's kind of two-way road.
Yeah.
Mean.
And then it's kind of rewarding system. It's kind of giving and taking, and then it works well.
I have to say that distance is nowadays actually not a problem because we have quite good video conferencing technology. So, for example, we are cooperating with Sauma Technologies in Helsinki. So our students are testing their new game in Kajani, Our Wars. Yeah. So we are using Skype and email and so on. That works very well.
So it's actually functional way to do this kind
yes.
of thing, at least this kind of testing thing or something yes. like that. How about Petri? Is it easy in Helsinki to get people from companies to give a study or give a lecture, like 2 hours lecture?
It has been rather easy to get, but we might be lucky because they are a few our graduates in the big companies. So it's rather easy to get our old students to give the lectures, and a bit harder to get others, but not that hard.
Yeah.
Actually, I have to agree with Toni that we have Garrett Noyes from Ruffian Games. He's a visiting teacher in a game writing course, was it? And he said that it's a win-win situation. He has something to give to the students, and he's always looking for good students to hire or get applications. So it's totally true.
So in a way, the companies should take this also as a way of recruiting people. If you are doing studies in some school, it gives you a better possibility to recruit people in the future. So that's the way they should think about it.
Of course, I need to add the money side here. If you are talking about like small game studio who's constantly like struggling to keep kind of the ends meet and has the kind of financial challenge that there is usually every day, then of course if the educational institute can kind of like pay enough for the visit, then you can kind of think that as a kind of client project, and it's easier to justify that my lead programmer will go and visit some school for 2 or 3 days because I need to take him away from the project that we are doing at the moment. So in there the money helps really well. So keep the money flowing.
So as they say, the money talks and the knowledge walks, or how do they say it? Something like that. If you think that we were now discussing about the Finnish game development people, games industry people. How about if you want to have somebody from USA or from UK, or if you want to have some guy from Germany, from Cry? Like, is it hard, or is it even possible to get that kind of big stars or big names or big companies to come to teach your students? Have you tried it ever?
Yeah, well, like Toni just said, we have Gareth North from Ruffian Games who are now doing Crackdown 2. So he's coming every year and he's been really happy about it. But I'd say there are 2 major obstacles. One is, of course, money, because it costs a lot to bring someone over, and it has to be a multiple-day workshop to justify something like that. And of course, it's also hard to make the initial contact. So it's rather expensive to go abroad and actually meet all these people. But after you meet them and you can tell them that, hey, we'll fly you over, you'll get to visit Finland and have some fun, then it's quite simple, really.
How about Petri?
Yeah, we had a couple of years ago that kind of games and storytelling called lecture series, which are mainly game designers and developers from abroad to give lectures and workshop. It was a cooperation project with University of Tampere and University of Helsinki and some others, I think.
Yeah.
And most challenging thing is the money, to get the funding to do that kind of thing.
So in basic education, the money is not such a big issue. But if we are talking about this kind of high-quality professionals coming from abroad and giving a new point of view to the people, then the money is really an issue.
Every time that you have an outsider to come who hasn't had a standard university funding, then the money comes the issue. And basically, currently in university level, money is an issue because we don't have lectures or professors or the people who could teach about games. They are a couple, but that's basically not enough for the university level education.
Okay. Turo?
Again, I would say that it's a personal contact you have to have, and then you must have good luck that person is traveling somewhere nearby and step by to give some courses. For us, it goes like that it goes step by step. We go first to Nordic area. We have some partners in Sweden, and they have good connections, and they introduce the persons straight to us, and we try to collect some kind of bigger entity why the big stars should come to Sweden or to Finland. And I believe that when we have the Nordic area in our back pocket, then we can go to Europe and then the States, or maybe, I don't know.
So you are cooperating in Nordic area, and you are cooperating with other educational facilities also.
Yeah, we do.
Isn't it illegal or something? Because as far as I have seen the education area, it seems to be that many of the educational facilities don't cooperate too much with each other. Do you think that it has changed during, or it's different thing in games education?
For us and for me, this is my personal opinion, is that to collaborate with foreigners, it's much easier than collaborate with the Finnish players at the first place. Yeah. So you have to have the network around Finland, and after that you have the network, the Finnish players are willing to collaborate with you.
Yeah, yeah.
So actually we have a good collaboration with Tampere. We have together same course, this game design, and of course we have to think that if somebody comes here with the big money, we can divide the costs when we are working together. So that's one good opportunity of a good cooperation.
How about the rest of you guys?
Yeah, I think there has been very little to no cooperation in the past, I don't know, 5 years, but just recently I think it's gotten much better, and it will in the future, because this is so hard that we simply cannot manage ourselves, and logistically it would be stupid also.
Petri.
At the university level, so far only way to get the more courses out is to do cooperation. So we have been doing that bit, but the problem is usually for that doing cooperation is quite resource heavy, and people are really tied up on the teaching and research on their own places. And then university and applied university cooperation at the teaching is a bit more trickier, because that kind of BA, MA, BA level it's easier, but if you are only giving MA level education, then it gives really more challenges to cooperate for the cooperation.
Yeah, I think the time is problem. If you think the usual lecturer like I am, I don't have time to go to the US or to Europe to make contacts, but luckily we have great students like Teemu and guys from Skore there who have time to travel and make contacts, and actually they are bringing good teachers to our school, or visiting teachers. That's really nice.
So do you mean to say that the area of games education is wider than the kind of school system we have? So we have this kind of voluntary working and this kind of things going on the games education area all the time?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Okay, so it means that in fact our kind of ecosystem is larger than the official school system in Finland, which is basically a good thing, because one thing which is definitely demanded if you are making games is that you have to be able to do initiatives yourselves. So it's not like something is pouring knowledge to your head. You have to be able to take initiatives yourselves. Okay, but so far as I have understood, what do you need for games education is of course money, not too much, but you might want to have money a little bit more if you want to do cooperation abroad. You need luck, which came at least twice or 3 times. You need good people, you need good contacts, you need good network. Is there something else you would say which is definitely required if you want to make a good games education? Is there something more?
I would say that in the future, what we are lacking now is that we don't basically have alumnus. We don't have students that have studied in our university and went to work and received some good reputation and stuff like that. In the future, that will be different, and we have to pay attention for the alumnus, and that's really, really important.
How about?
So I think that what you said is true, that we need money, we need good contacts, and definitely we need good people to teach. But of course also games industry in Finland, some companies are not so eager to take students to practice in their company. That's one big problem.
Yeah. Well, at least last time when we made a study, most of the companies preferred if the people they are hiring had at least 2 or 3 years of professional experience. So they are looking, or at least at that point, they were looking for skilled professionals. So how skilled can you be when you come from the school if you don't have any kind of professional career? What do you think about this, Teemu, and Toni, because you are basically dealing with this issue everyday life?
I think that this also comes down to the kind of personal contacts, that if you have relationship with the school or if the school has relationship with the company, then you get the kind of constant flow of internships, that you learn to trust each other and you kind of learn to know how to dance in a way that the teachers can kind of pinpoint that, yeah, we have these 2 students who might fit very well in your style of working, and can kind of give some insight and not just the applications. And at that level, like, we have a network of either games researchers or games teachers, and we get internships from kind of outside Finland as well. And that's been working very well when you know the person, like you know the teacher basically who is the one sending the students to you. But without that, like, if I get some random applications from some random school, I won't even read it, because I think I'm not that lucky that I will hit the right note. So that's also like networking, creating the trust, meeting people, going to conferences and visiting the companies, and also inviting the companies over to visit like what you organized when you launched the studio last year. It's like things like this can kind of help in creating the contact network.
How about Teemu? What is your point of view?
Yeah, it's pretty much the same, because if we have different students with different skill sets and personalities, we really need to find a different company for each one of them. And only a few companies at the time are probably searching for interns. And like Toni just said, it's really hard for anyone to just go and randomly post their anonymous like job applications and get a proper response. I think the only way to reliably find some proper internship place would be to really focus and network with the company. So it's quite hard. It's doable, but compared to any other IT job, I think it's by far the hardest thing you can actually do to get your first internship going in Finland.
So I think that this message was loud and clear for both of the students of the games industry and teachers of inside the games educational facilities. Go out there, do things, go to the ITDA meetings, come to the assembly, meet people, discuss with people, go abroad if you can, go to GDC, go to Nordic Game and places like this, because it's the only way to make sure that you have this kind of face value inside the industry, which could one day provide you a first internship and of course the first real job in the games industry. Okay, but Petri.
I could say that what we really need is that universities and schools will commit to the games education. That's the only way to get the level of education good, so that there will be continuation on education. There will be teachers who will be able to do their teaching and improve themselves and get the contacts. And that won't happen unless the universities and schools are committed to the education.
Okay.
So actually, come in my mind that one lack is also that we don't in Finland have a degree for games education. So we are working under computer science, and that's quite different.
So that's something we should have. Do you think that we should have that kind of? Yeah, so it could give some credibility for the people who have been studying the game design or
That's right.
Okay. One thing which always pops up when we are talking about the education, and the reason is quite obvious, is the quality of the education. So what we saw actually in media education in the end of the 90s, it was kind of horrific thing that there were a lot of education, but the majority, or not the majority, but big part of that education was useless. And I think that it has something to do with the Finnish educational system, or the way the Finnish educational facilities are funded. How do you think that the schools could avoid this pitfall? I mean, doing lousy quality education. What should a game education facility do that they can maintain the quality of the education as high as it needs to be? Toni, you can begin now.
Yeah, I think you have to listen to your students, because they have time to watch out what's going on, and you have to make flexible structures of your studies so they can make projects as much as they want. I think that's the best way to keep the quality, because no teacher can, know anything, all the things about making games, because things are going so fast all the time.
So we are coming once again that you have to be self-motivated, and you have to listen to other people, and you have to be able to take responses and things outside of your kind of familiar area also, if you're doing that. Petri.
I would say that don't listen your students, listen your alumni, because they know what has been useful and what has not been. Students usually don't know that, but you can get the really good insight from the people who has been studying under the program, who is in industry. But of course that's not the fast way to get the feedback. And we have been proposing the master's degree program for game design, and one quality control idea there is that there will be, if that is accepted, there will be a steering board that contains industry persons who can look about the curriculum and get the feedback and give feedback as to what works and what doesn't work more immediately.
So how about in Polytechnic, because you don't have alumni as far as I have understood?
No, not yet, hopefully in the future. But in our case, we tried to tackle that kind of a problem in two ways. We try to be as close as possible with the business, that's one of course. But the other way is that at least we in Kajaani, we believe on learning by doing. And the whole educational system is put upside down in our university when it comes to game education, in a way that the students come to us to work from 8 to 4, let's say, and they start developing their games throughout their studies. So when they graduate from us, they have the degree, but also they have several games they have developed throughout the studies.
So you see learning by doing as a means of quality control also?
I would say that, yeah.
Yeah. How about Toni? You used to have some clever ideas when you were in university about this. Do you still have some clever ideas about this?
No, I quit all the cleverness when I quit. No, actually, I think the learning by doing approach is the only thing. Like it's always easy to teach the theoretical side and the kind of knowledge side of how you should design games, how you should develop, but the actual practical thing of doing them is usually different. But what I've faced in the educational system, and this is not only the problem in Finland, but this seems to be a problem outside Finland as well, is that when the students do the game projects, when they are learning making games, what universities and educational institutes lack is the whip, that they don't whip the students enough. Because they don't push the students.
Do they use carrots or?
Yeah. They don't necessarily have means, or they can't. Maybe the law is restricting their ways of working, and that's why the students, when they come to work with the company, they come to totally different worlds, and they may have the first impression that, yeah, it was still fun when we were at school, but now it's work. But hey, that's work. Making games is work. It's still fun, but so if somebody finds a way how to kind of push the limit and make the students work harder, not necessarily the idols kind of way that don't quit your day job, but still kind of pushing them. And I think that would be the best learning experience, and the students would feel very well when they come to any of the companies.
Petri.
The film department at TAIC is really good on doing that how they can push people to do movies. And there's something that games education could learn from their practices, how they can push people and how they can support people to do rather big productions.
The way we do it, it's one way. Is that we force our students to participate in different kind of game competitions, such as assembly, such as GDC. They have timelines from somewhere else than their teacher or school.
So life is rough in Kajaani.
Yeah, I think that's the only way, because we can't give any deadlines.
Teemu, short one, and then we go to the questions.
Yeah, and that's partly why in the SCORE Game Development Club we aim to really attend a lot of the international competitions like the Imagine Cup and the Assembly and whatnot, to really make some pressure. And also it's been really entertaining to have some of the abroad teachers to really just go all out and bash the students and the projects. Like they're literally almost shouting that what the hell were you thinking when you designed something awful? And well, the students almost cry, but it's the most efficient way, really, the whip, because there is a lot of contrast.
So there is still use for this kind of management by perkele thinking. It's not all about candy and doing nice things.
Yeah, the candy comes when they join the companies.
The candy comes after perkele. Okay, now do you have some questions about this issue? We have time to take a couple of questions if there is somebody willing to ask some. Okay.
Yeah, well, you're talking about how it's hard to get the experts to come to the school and teach and talk, but how often do you actually get these teachers, experts, to come there and teach and talk about game development?
Well,
how often?
In our school, I think we have, let's say, 9 to 10 different experts coming every 6 months, maybe doing multiple cycles per year or so, but that's pretty much what we can do, and maybe 2 to 3 could be abroad, probably just 1.
How about in Kajaani?
Few, 1, 2, 3 per year. That's not much, but we are increasing next year.
Yeah. How about in Petri or Toni? Do you have some estimate about this? Because I need a university situation different.
It really depends on the year. We have in other programs we have I say 3 or 4 guest lecturers at the term, so 6 to 8 at the year at least. But in games area we haven't had those lately, mainly because budget issues.
How about Toni?
Yeah, I think Teemu was right about the amount, but we are trying to increase that too. It's not too many right now.
Yeah. Okay, but I think that the time is almost up. We have like 1 minute and 45 seconds to go. But I think that it's time to take closing arguments. I'm sorry there is no time for questions if we want to stay on the schedule. But Veli-Pekka, what kind of qualities do you expect from people or from students who are applying to Kajaani, what are you kind of looking for? What kind of people you are looking for?
So people who are ready to work hard and are self-guiding.
I would say that this is a passion-based business. You have to have a passion. Well, it's not fun all the times.
Yeah, yeah. So it's not the kind of typical 9-to-5 job, but it's something else. Toni, what do you think? What kind of qualities you need if you want to work inside the games industry?
Yeah, passion, humble, teamwork, I think. And,
social skills also.
Yeah, social skills, teamwork.
How about Teemu?
Yeah, we're always definitely looking for people who are prepared to work after hours, come to assembly, prepared to have fun, but really work hard for it.
Toni, you are an employee. What do you think?
All the hard-working part, that's of course a necessity, and of course if you want to make a living and you want to do it in an easy way, don't join games company, because if you don't love games, if that's not your passion, then go to Nokia or some other company, because you get much more money in a much easier job. But then again, if you love games and if you have that passion, and if you are able to dream and you are able to fulfill your dreams, then I think that it's part of the future, definitely, and that's kind of what people we are looking for, that people who know how to kind of break the boundaries, sometimes in a nasty way as well, but know where they aim at and where their future may lie. So not just kind of 9-to-5 people, because
Petri.
BA or equivalent, and then a good portfolio that shows that there are some skills that we can start to work, that students can start to work to build on that education that we offer, and then passion for what they want to do.
So basically, if you are passionate in games, if you are hardworking and you are self-motivated, welcome to any school or any job in games industry. Okay, thank you. I thank you, the finalists, and I thank the audience. It was nice to have you here. The time is up, and we are going to wrap up and go. Thanks.